I was Andy but Rico from Street Scores, and I think it's time to have a little fun. So I started looking around. Again, I'm just like y'all. I'm a Washington Commanders fan just like y'all. While I'm looking around at 2024 mock drafts, I care about how other people even grade our drafts, even though I am an avid believer that drafts do not matter. You cannot grade them accurately until at least 3 years down the line. But still, again, I'm a Commanders fan like y'all. I'm looking ahead, I'm looking behind, all of that type of stuff. So I felt like today would be a good time to take a look at all of the 2024 expert mock drafts. And the results are both good and bad because we're getting a lot of elite talents in some of them, but at what cost? If you're high enough in the draft to get those elite talents, either you traded up a lot of capital, gave up a lot of resources to do it, a lot of picks, maybe even some players, or you just suck that bad in 2023. So we got to dive into all of these expert mock drafts, try to see which player comes up the most. You may be surprised, you may be disappointed, or you may be excited. But we have a lot of really interesting names to go through, but only one person came up in 3 of the 10 to 12 mock drafts that we're going to look at. So I also want to take a look at what record we would have each of those picks as well for all of these mock drafts to really see, is this what we really want? Is this what we're really trying to do? Do we really want these players that bad? Are we willing to sacrifice this upcoming season to get that? I mean, everybody's going to get fired. Ron Rivera, all of those guys. Well, more than likely, if we're bad enough to get these picks, Sam Howell is no longer your quarterback. He failed. So without further ado, before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get notification immediately and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you pull up for the Sunday live stream tomorrow where we're going to have the live stream, the whole draft review, all of that type of stuff. I'm going to open up the phone lines for y'all to call in, you voice your opinions, you give your reviews, and if you want to, grades for each pick, the overall draft, all of that. Again, I'm going to have to be pretty strict with the 3-minute timer, so make sure you pull up with all of your ideas and points ready to go. Again, you can ask me whatever question you may have and I'll answer them. I'll give some synopsis of how I felt about the draft and everything. I'm still working on a full hour-long video breakdown of the draft and everything. I just want to watch some more film before I do it. So watch out for that call-in show Sunday. And then without further ado, let's get it.
You tell your family you can be a commander.
All right, so starting off with Walter Football, of course, they have us picking 8th overall, which is nowhere near the worst that we're going to see on this list. Again, be careful what you ask for. If we have the 8th overall pick, that means that if assuming just going based off of who had the 8th overall pick last year, it was the Falcons who went 7-10. But then you also had 5 other teams go 7-10, and the Falcons just happened to be the one that was ahead of all of them. So not only do you have to go 7-10, you have to be the worst out of the 7-10 to get the 8th overall pick. And they have us taking, of course, my Georgia Bulldog tight end, Brock Bowers. And I just want to go ahead and talk about the fact that this upcoming draft has so much elite talent. I don't want to say it's top heavy because I also feel like there's going to be a lot of great depth. But if we're talking about the first 8 picks that go in this draft compared to the first 8 picks that went in this 2023 draft that just passed, man, this 2024 draft is looking filthy. I mean, I've already been saying it. I've been tweeting about it. You can argue that the best quarterback last year in all of college football, including all of the guys that just got drafted in this 2023 draft, was Caleb Williams from USC. You can argue that the best receiver easily was Ohio State wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. You can argue that the best tackle was the Fashanu kid from Penn State. You can easily argue that Broderick Jones was the best tight end in all of college football last year from Georgia. And so, a lot of the best talent from last year's college season were not even draft eligible leading up to the 2023 draft. So this upcoming draft is about to be ridiculous. It's about to be absolutely insane. And I don't think it's going to be top heavy because I also think it's going to be a lot of great players. But honestly, if we're talking about top talents, maybe the 2023 draft has a 2024 draft in running backs because I don't think there's going to be Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs in this 2024 draft, but who knows? Maybe there will be. You never know. Jahmyr Gibbs was not talked about as a first-round pick by most people until we got into the draft process, let alone before the season started, like this time last year. So you never know with that. So maybe the 2024 class has a chance to top that, but I'm not exactly sure yet. I don't see it. And then also, this 2024 class just doesn't have a Jalen Carter because he's a generational defensive tackle if he gets it all right. I'm sure he probably will with the Eagles with all of his Georgia dogs around him. I'm sad to say it. I'm sad to hear it. I'm sad to see it. I'm not looking forward to Sundays this upcoming season because of it, but it is what it is. I'm excited about the Commanders, but man, I'm gonna avoid watching the Eagles games because my heart is gonna hurt. But either way, man, I mean, maybe the 2023 class got it on running back and defensive tackle, but it may be cornerback depth, you can argue. But this upcoming class with the top cornerbacks, the top tight ends, the top quarterbacks, the top tackles, you can argue that the two top tackles from this upcoming 2024 class, the kid from Notre Dame and the kid from Penn State, both of them would have been 1 and 2 in this past 2023 draft if they were draft eligible. Like, it's that serious. The top talent in this upcoming draft is that crazy. So this is really fun, man. You can even argue maybe Jared Verse from Florida State may be a better than any edge rusher that came out this past draft, at least going into the draft process. So this is going to be really fun. It's going to be a very top heavy draft. But just to go back to the point, Walter Football has us taking Brock Bowers 8th overall. Again, we would have to go 7-10, and not only go 7-10, but be the worst out of the 7-10 records, again, just based on what happened in 2023. Not saying that if you go 7-10, you're automatically going to have the 8th pick in 2024. We're just, the only thing we have to go off is what happened in 2023. That's why I'm referencing it. And of course, I would love to bring in a Georgia Bulldog and Brock Bowers. I mean, looking at our tight end situation, I'm not going to do deep dives into every pick, but this is a Georgia Bulldog, and our tight end position happens to be very interesting and intriguing. And you know, nobody's absolutely sure about it. I'm pretty sure Rivera and those guys aren't even absolutely sure about what's going on. So I just feel like it's a perfect example and perfect reason for us to dive into this for real. So Brock Bowers, of course, generational talent, but looking at the Commanders tight end group, I think Armani Rogers has Darren Waller level potential. I think he could definitely reach it, especially under Eric Bieniemy, because if anybody can get it out of him, it's Eric Bieniemy, who got greatness out of Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is still Travis Kelce. Pat Mahomes is still Pat Mahomes, but I definitely feel like Eric Bieniemy elevated both of those guys' play on the field and made them better players, got them open even more, made things easier for them and things like that. I think Armani Rogers will be very similar to that, potentially. We'll see. Nothing's for sure, though. I love his ceiling. I like Cole Turner's ceiling, but not much of a floor there as well. But I like him as a red zone threat potentially. Curtis Hodges is 6'8", and the Commanders like him so much that he had the tiniest injury, and we put him on injured reserve so no other team could take him. We were like, man, just play hurt. Just play hurt. Just act like it's just the most painful thing ever and you can't go, so we can just throw you away or injured reserve so you can come back and compete for this tight end group next year. So you could tell they like him a lot. And then you have John Bates as the floor, and then Logan Thomas is the real big question mark, because Rivera and company feel like they saw 2021 Logan Thomas towards the end of 2022. I didn't necessarily see that in my personal opinion, but if they believe that much in him, then we'll see. So there goes some floor there if he can get back to his 2021 self. But at the same time, if this Logan Thomas experiment doesn't work, even if Armani Rogers turns out to be Darren Waller, if you have Brock Bowers on one side and Darren Waller on the other, you have the best tight end duo in the NFL. Dare people to stop it. Just dare people to stop it. Figure it out. So I like the Brock Bowers pick if we're 8th overall, especially if all of the quarterbacks are gone. And again, be careful what you ask for, because if we have the 8th overall pick, it's maybe likely. I mean, maybe if we go 7-10, maybe they'll excuse it if Sam Howell shows enough growth. But I feel like this team is too talented. If Sam Howell is even halfway decent, just a little bit better than Taylor Heineke and Carson Wentz, we should win more than 7 games. So, especially in this weak NFC. The NFC East is a dog. The NFC West is pretty diddly as well. But the NFC as a whole, man, you should be able to make the playoffs. So Sam Howell, at the very least, isn't ranked in the 30s in QBR like Taylor Heineke and Carson Wentz were. So, honestly, if we go 7-10, a lot of the blame is probably going to land on Sam Howell. Ron Rivera and those guys still may get fired if we don't make that. I think it's playoffs or bust. Playoffs are fire for Ron Rivera and Martin Mayhew. So again, be careful what you ask for. And again, we would need quarterback is what I'm mainly saying. If we pick an 8th overall, we probably need a quarterback. But these quarterbacks, I'm telling y'all, man, these quarterbacks are seen as so elite between Drake May, Caleb Williams, and maybe Quinn Ewers. We're going to talk about him a little bit later. That I don't think anybody's going to want to trade out of it. If you're bad enough to be picking that high, you more than likely need a quarterback. And I don't think anybody's going to find, no matter what you throw at them, worth trading out of taking Caleb Williams or Drake May. So it doesn't matter how bad we want a quarterback. If the number 1 and number 2 overall picks want a quarterback as well, they're not going to trade back with us. So getting those quarterbacks, if we end up 7-10, we're not getting those guys anyway. Maybe Quinn Ewers falls to us, and in Walter Football's draft, he does fall past us, way past us. Actually, he doesn't have him going until I'm looking at the top 16, and Quinn Ewers doesn't even go there. So that's how he feels about him, and I'm not even exactly sure if I disagree. We'll talk about that later, though. Then in Tankathon, 6th overall, they have us taking Joe Alt, to me the second best tackle in this upcoming class, but who knows? We have a whole 2023 season to watch. But Fashanu goes 4th to the Rams, and then again, I mean, you're looking at the tackle situation. Charles Leno is basically on his last year. I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if he got cut this year, but I definitely feel like at the end of this contract coming up potentially, or even if he's not a 2024 free agent, I think he may be like a 2025, the way that his cap space situation is set up, and like the dead cap and all of that, even if he's not a 2024 free agent, you could cut him and gain a lot of cap space back. And if we're ready to have an elite franchise tackle, because we're picking that high, if we're picking 6th overall, y'all, that means that we have a 5-12 record. So we're more than likely, I mean, maybe Sam Howell was the reason as well. He's probably gone, and we're trying to figure out quarterback as well. But maybe they saw enough in Sam Howell to where we just got to get him a franchise tackle, left tackle. Joe Alt becomes that franchise left tackle. Charles Leno, we cut him to save cap space, or he walks. Again, I don't remember exactly how his contract is set up. Matter of fact, let me look it up instead of just spewing nonsense. Yeah, I was right. He's not a free agent after this 2023 season. He's on contract through 2024, and if you cut him, you can save $12 million. He's a $14.25 million cap hit. His dick cap would only be 2.25. So the writing's on the wall. Unless Charles Leno just surges and just becomes a great talent, or if we're not looking to attack tackle in the first round because we're prioritizing quarterback that bad, or if we just love Brock Bowers that much potentially, then that's the only way he's safe. Or if the top tackles that we like are gone, and we're just like, well, we might as well not even address tackle, just like how we did this past draft. It's reported that we wanted tackle the most. Like if Darnell Wright was there at 16, we're taking him over Emmanuel Forbes. But after the first few tackles went, they felt like it's not worth taking a tackle at this point. We might as well go corner. Same thing with the second round. It's reported that we really love Steve Avila, and that's probably who we were trying to trade up all the way to the 32nd pick from the 47th pick to get. Once we weren't able to do that, and he was gone by the time we picked 47, we were just like, well, we might as well go corner again. Corner, safety, DB, whatever you want to say. So the Commanders, now, if we're picking 6th overall, Rivera and Martin Mayhew aren't here. But either way, they have shown that they're not just going to force it. They're not going to, just because we need a guard or a tackle, we're not just going to go and take somebody way further down our board. So you never know. But 6th overall, Joe Alt, man, if he's there, Charles Leno, you can easily cut him, save a lot of money. Hopefully Andrew Wiley is, I guess, your temporary, almost franchise right tackle for at least the next few years. We'll see. Next mock draft, CBS Sports has us picking 4th overall, taking Drake May. And for us to have the 4th overall pick, we have to go 4-12-1. That's insane, man. That's scary. And that's who the coach used that draft pick to take Anthony Richardson. The only reason he has Drake May falling as far as because he has the Cardinals taking their generational wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. and the Colts taking the generational tackle that I love, Fashanu from Penn State. So, and he's only 20 years old right now too. That's insane. So this is like crazy if he falls that far, but I can see it happening. Because if the Cardinals just really do not want to trade out of that pick, I mean, he has in his mock draft, because remember the Cardinals got that extra first round pick. They're picking 1st and 2nd. Which is actually pretty insane. It's pretty funny, man. He has them taking, because the 1st overall pick is from the Texans, that the Texans traded out to get moved back up to get Will Anderson in this past 2023 draft. They take Caleb Williams 1st overall, and they're like, nah, we're not trading back. We're not giving up the opportunity to have Caleb Williams throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr. That is an insane combination. That would change that team all the way around. Marvin Harrison Jr. is uncoverable, and I think Caleb Williams is probably the closest thing we may have to Pat Mahomes. I mean, just like Louis T said when I was on the stream with him, man, I went into that film, the Caleb Williams and the Drake May film, like there's no way they're that good, right? It's no way. Y'all are just hyping them up. Y'all just boosting them up because y'all just always do this for quarterbacks every year. But when you watch the tape, both of those guys are really that good. So we would be lucky for him to fall 4th overall if we had that pick. But again, be careful what you ask for. If we're picking 4th overall, if we went 4-12-1, everybody's gone. I'm not even sure if Eric Bieniemy is safe at that point. If we can't at least win 5 games, even Eric Bieniemy may not be safe. Josh Harris may clean house completely. The water boy, everybody got to go. Everybody got to go, man. I mean, I could just see it happening, but I can also see a scenario where the Cardinals already have their quarterback. They want to take the generational wide receiver. The Colts are not passing up a chance to get arguably a generational tackle and Fashanu to protect Anthony Richardson 3rd overall. So there's a scenario where Drake May could make it to 4th overall if we were picking there. But who knows, man? Again, be careful what you ask for. Do we even want to be that bad to be able to do that? And then 6th overall, the Athletic has us picking there. And you would have to go 5 and 12 to get that pick. And he has us taking Quinn Ewers. And this is when the Quinn Ewers streak starts. Because let me just go ahead and say it now. Quinn Ewers, I've only watched a little bit of him. So I don't have any real film analysis on him. I don't have a real opinion yet. I just don't really watch Texas football. But either way, man, the fact that he's even having to go through a QB battle right now with the Manning kid. Like, I mean, because just imagine it. Like, say if Alabama had a 5-star quarterback coming in before the 2022 season. Bryce Young there, clearly the starter. Do you think we would even have rumors of even a slightly realistic quarterback battle between Bryce Young and no matter who they brought in as a recruit? Even if it were the Manning kid, if the Alabama got him, do you think there would even be a slight QB competition between Bryce Young and him right now? No, there wouldn't. So again, I haven't watched a lot of Quinn Ewers to really cast an honest judgment, like fair judgment on him. But just off of that alone makes me uncomfortable that even though it may be a fake QB battle like Sam Howell versus Jacoby Brissett, even though Sam Howell is clearly the leader right now, and he would have to go out there and be absolutely terrible for him to lose it. Maybe Quinn Ewers is in the same situation with the Manning kid, but I'm hearing a lot about it's not automatically his job, and that worries me. So we'll see, but he has an entire season to not only prove himself, but to get better, if that's a real thing right now. If he beats out the Manning kid, who is, again, is a true freshman, which isn't much to say, even though he's a 5-star, and a lot of people really like him. I wanted him even as a Georgia Bulldog. I was sad to not get him, even though I do prefer Dylan Raiola, and that's just not even me being biased. But, I mean, that guy's really good, but Quinn Ewers, man, come on now. You shouldn't be competing against a freshman. I don't care how high of a 5-star prospect this is. So, hey, man, go out there and ball out. We'll see if you're worthy of going 6th overall to us. And then let's just go ahead and start the streak. Bleacher Report has us with the 5th overall pick, which, again, has us going 5 and 12 to achieve that. They have us taking Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers. And then SportsNot.com has us 14th overall, which is probably the best record we're going to look at this entire draft, because we would have to go 8 and 9 to do that. We would have to miss the playoffs to go to have that 14th pick. And again, I think it's playoffs a bust. Even if we go 8 and 9 and have the 14th overall pick, even though we almost went neutral, we were that close to making the playoffs. If we don't, I don't care what the reason is, injuries or whatever, I'm pretty sure Rivera and company are gone. They are literally coaching for their careers right now. So, but that's interesting for us to have the 14th overall pick rather than one of these top 5 like a lot of people have us having. So I think the shouts out to Sports Not for thinking that we're as terrible as a lot of people think we are. A lot of people thinking we're about to have a top 5 draft, most notably because a lot of people are just really low on Sam Howell. I may do a video on it, but I'm not sure if y'all saw that somebody from CBS ranked the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. Sam Howell was dead last, even behind all of the rookies, even Anthony Richardson, like everybody. Even I love Anthony Richardson, but he's so raw, man. Come on now. Like, that's ridiculous. So a lot of people see us being terrible. Sports Not has us going 8 and 9, but they have us getting Quinn Ewers all the way with the 14th pick, which is really interesting. And then Yard Barker has us 6th overall, taking quarterback KJ Jefferson from Arkansas. And this is the highest I've seen him picked in any mock draft ever. And that's above Quinn Ewers even, who's more famous and more widely known. I haven't watched much KJ Jefferson. I mean, watching Ricky Strongberg tape, I saw a little bit, but I didn't really pay much attention to him. So I don't really have much analysis there, but that's interesting. And then NBC Sports has us picking 6th overall. They have us taking Jared Verse, edge from Florida State. And that can make sense, because Chase Young and/or Montez Sweat may be gone after this season. Do not be like completely shocked if it's both of them. Even though I highly doubt it. When in doubt, they're going to franchise tag one of them. I'm hoping we somehow find a way to keep both, but we'll see. If we end up losing one of them, even just one of them, not even both, I can see us going elite edge rusher in Jared Verse from Florida State, man. And then Fox Sports, hey, man, I'm not surprised, man. Fox Sports don't really rock with us that often. They have us 4th overall as well. And they have us taking Jared Verse from Florida State, too. So that's really interesting there. And then you have, what is this? PAS Sports. They have us picking 10th overall and taking safety James Williams from Miami. And I'm not exactly sure. I haven't watched much of them because, I mean, I just don't watch Miami. I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan, so I may watch some SEC. Maybe I'll catch a little bit of Big Ten, and then I've watched some Caleb Williams live occasionally, but I haven't really taken the time to really dive into this upcoming draft that much yet, except for like the elite of the elite talents. But I mean, he looks crazy because 6'5", 225 pounds, and an athletic freak like he is, and coming from Miami, really interesting for a lot of reasons. Then Athlon Sports has us picking all the way 6th, getting the tackle from Penn State for Shanu. And that's the end of the mock draft. So out of all of the names, you have some guys that appear more than once, but Quinn Ewers is the only one that appears to us 3 times. So maybe there's something there. Again, we'll see. I'm not exactly sure how comfortable I am with this yet. We'll see. Oh, never mind. I do have a couple of more mock drafts, because then those were like the basic mock drafts. No movement, no trade up, no trade down, no nothing. This ESPN one by Todd McShay is the only trade up one that we have. And in this one, he has us trading up with the Colts from 6th all the way to 3rd to get Drake May. And that's a really interesting situation right there, to trade from 6th to 3rd. I'm not exactly sure how much you would have to give up to do that, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot. And then the Colts trade back and still get Brock Bowers. So that's a home run situation for them. Give Anthony Richardson somebody like Brock Bowers to throw to and block for him. That is insane, man. They're building something over there if they really achieve that type of thing. But that's really interesting, man. We trade up to number 3 from 6th. And again, if we're 6th overall, that means that we had a 5-12 record. So remember that. Again, we're cleaning house. And I wouldn't be surprised that if we're that terrible, even a lot of guys that are unrestricted free agents coming up, Cameron Curl, Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson, Kendall Fuller, both edge rushers, and Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Just a lot of people in general. Did I already say Antonio Gibson? I'm not sure, but a lot of these guys may look at the situation like, man, we're about to have a whole new GM, a whole new head coach, a whole new coaching staff, maybe except for Eric Bieniemy. And just, I don't even want to be a part of this after this miserable season where we just went 5-12. I don't even want to come back no matter how much money y'all are offering us. So I wouldn't be surprised if we lost even like 2 or 3 or more of those guys that I just listed. All potential should be starters. I mean, Kendall Fuller is the only one you got to kind of question a little bit, but still a really good player. So don't be surprised about that. And then lastly, we're just going to make it come all full circle, man. We had Brock Bowers going in the first mock draft that we looked at, and then we're going to have Brock Bowers going into the last one, because I got to talk about Brock Bowers first and last as the bookends, because he's a Georgia Bulldog. I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan. How could you not expect me to do something like that? Come on now. But this mock draft has us picking 16th overall, which is the exact pick we have right now, and that would take for us to go 8-1 just based on last year's draft. And again, we did make the playoffs. Everybody's fired. Even if we are 8-1, if we don't make the playoffs, man, everybody's gone. I'm almost sure of it. But they have us taking tight end Brock Bowers, and I don't see him making it that far. I don't care what's going on. Brock Bowers is not making it 16th overall, so that's a pipe dream right there. You know what? I'm going to give y'all one more. Just because another website has faith in us to not just be a top 5 pick, even though at this point, like, picking between a 16th pick and a top 5 pick, I'd probably prefer just go ahead and get that 5th pick, because picking 16th overall again is miserable. I'm not gonna lie. I love Emmanuel Forbes, man, but come on, dog. If we're not making the playoffs at that point, we might as well just go ahead and just get the highest pick we can and get a potential franchise-changing player. But just to not end it on Brock Bowers, I'm gonna do y'all a favor real quick. I'm gonna rock with y'all a little bit. Again, another 16th overall pick, which has us going 8-1, which is the best record. These 2 websites, between DraftWire, USA Today, and NBA Draft Room, who just took Brock Bowers for us, those are the 2 people that see us as the best that we could possibly be, which is 8-1. That's our ceiling according to all of these mock drafts. Some people again have us picking as high as 4th overall without even having to trade up. The only one we picked 3rd overall is us trading up. Everybody else has us 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th. So just shouts out to NBA Draft Room and DraftWire.USA Today for believing in us, for us not to have a top 5 pick, just off of just the fact that we don't have a terrible 2023 season, if anything. But they have us taking cornerback Denzel Burke from Ohio State, and this is not a guy I've seen a lot of, but if you're an Ohio State corner, I'm just going to assume you got to be some type of good. But yeah, man, again, be careful what you ask for. That's the end of the mock drafts. But that's just, if we have a lot of those picks, that means that Sam Howell was bad. So that means that didn't work out. That means we had a terrible 2023 season. Rivera, Martin Mayhew, and the entire front office, the entire coaching staff, except for maybe Eric Bieniemy, is completely gone. Again, even the Water Boys up out of there. And so you got to question, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Is this like, is that what you want as a fan? I know there's going to be people on both sides because, again, I've always felt like if we're not going to go to the playoffs, at the very least, if we're not going to have an honest chance of even making the playoffs and making some noise when we're in the playoffs, again, for example, going 7-9 and then making it into the wild card with Taylor Heineke going against the Buccaneers. I don't like that. I hate being perpetually average. I hate being in the middle all of the time. That absolutely kills me inside. I prefer to be terrible so we could be great sooner. That's just me personally. So, I mean, is it really that bad? I love Sam Howell and I really believe in him, but if we're bad enough to not make the playoffs, again, with how good this roster is top to bottom, if Sam Howell is even just halfway decent, a top 20 quarterback, you ain't even got to be great, just be a top 20 quarterback, we should make the playoffs in this week NFC. So if Sam Howell's not good enough to do that, as much as I love Sam Howell and I believe in his potential, then it's time to move on. And at that point, if we need a quarterback, I would prefer to have a top 5 pick than the 16th overall pick is basically my main point. And then lastly, I mean, my last observation is Quinn Ewers the guy that's the Commanders are most likely to end up with? Again, that just means Sam Howell was so bad that we need to go quarterback in the first round. But will Quinn Ewers be worth it? Because a lot of people don't even have him going in the top 5, top 10, even top 15 sometimes. So, you know, we just got to see if it's worth it. I mean, I'm going to try to watch some more Quinn Ewers tape. Maybe I'll have an answer for y'all if I want him even before the season starts. But at the end of the day, we're not going to really know until like December, January, whether Quinn Ewers is worthy of a top pick. But the fact that his name came up the most is really interesting. Maybe they see a scheme fit with Eric Bieniemy. I don't know. But that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. Let me know if you want me to do more random hypothetical things like this, because again, I'm a Commanders fan just like y'all. I like diving into stuff like this, looking ahead, looking behind, looking at how people feel about the team, all of that, man. Just like how y'all spend hours on Google looking up random stuff, grades and stuff, watching film. I'm that exact guy. So again, appreciate all the support. Leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors. Name you see on the screen right now. Let me know how you feel about these 2024 mock drafts. What side are you on? Would you prefer the top pick or a later pick because we at least tried to make the playoffs? Put your argument in the comment section. I'm gonna try to read all of them and try to reply to all of them. Catch y'all later. I'm out.